Rock and roll! Oh, yeah! Welcome back to another new voice show. I am your co-host, Johnny G.
And I'm your other co-host, Brittany BB.
Brittany BB.
BB.
I love Brittany BB. He's my favorite.
That's right.
That's why we do podcasts together. Well, yes, we are back to fill your ear holes with all kinds of great sounds that we make ourselves.
That's right. Right in our home workshop, we're working on those
humble
sounds.
abode.
Hardcore, toil all day over the hot forge, creating these sounds just for your little ear holes.
That is true. And it is actually always really hot in here.
It actually
because we're not able to leave the AC on as we record. We have to turn it off, otherwise it creates this hum in the background. It's kind of like... And I don't know why the AC sounds like that, but
it's
that's
because it's powered by gasoline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Powered by good old-fashioned propane.
Yeah, I think we should, next time, just move a big bathtub in here.
Yeah, we should just do ice bathtubs.
Fill it with ice, yeah.
We should do it like those like Cialis commercials where like the two like lovers will be in a bathtub together but also like on a hill overlooking a sea, and I have no idea how they got these bathtubs up there. It's probably really comfortable, but they're also like staring at each other.
Yeah, and we'll set it up so that there's a battery current running through us.
Yes.
So that if the microphone is being run off this battery, so that if we ever stop holding hands across each other's bathtubs, it will stop recording. So.
It is crucial for us to keep that warm embrace.
Exactly. So
otherwise the podcast goes to shambles.
That ensures that the listeners know that we are holding hands in a very comforting and affectionate manner.
We'll videotape it too.
Yeah, but just the hands.
Just the hands.
You won't see anything else.
Well, that way they'll know, like, the podcast is good, and then if it ever cuts out for some reason, they'll just see that the hands are gone. Then we'll come right back.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, this is our podcast. You probably know that now. But, there we go. Let's jump into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we have an established topic.
Yeah, which hasn't happened in a while. It's been a long while since we've done that. Let's break into this.
So, the other day, I got a message that said, "So, on the next podcast, do you want to talk about our favorite TV shows?"
Dude, I wonder who that was from.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just from, like, it was probably
Ghost Gremlins, you know.
Ghost Gremlins.
Those guys,
yeah.
They text me all the time.
I don't know how they got my number.
I don't either. They're just like those spam little like.
They probably got it from you since they text you all the time.
Probably. I probably like downloaded all of those links they sent me. I've just got viruses. They send it to all my contacts now, you know.
Yeah.
But we're gonna talk about TV shows, like good TV shows.
Television. That's
Television.
Right. So how do you want to start?
Television. I will start it out by saying, I would honestly consider myself a TV connoisseur.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of TV in my day, and one of the first shows that I always think of when I'm thinking of my favorite TV shows is always Batman the Animated Series. Like I've been watching that since I was a wee little boy, man.
That's when you cut your teeth on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would just grab the disc and... But yeah, that show has always been my favorite, at least favorite cartoon from the 90s. Because, I mean, it's one of those shows that always holds up no matter how old you are watching it. And especially being a Batman fan, like they put in everything I could ever ask for there. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite shows. I mean, I don't know. What's one of yours? Or if you want to build on the Batman thing.
I love that one. Batman the Animated Series is great. I'm a fan of most all of the DCAU. Out of those, I'd probably say my favorites are Justice League Unlimited.
That's a good one.
That first season is pretty great. And I was a big fan of Static Shock.
I love Static Shock. I forgot about Static Shock.
No, that was good.
Static Shock. Wow. We're recording this at 11 in the morning. Well, more like 12 in the afternoon, but that's really early for me.
Too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Static Shock was awesome. I love that show.
Yeah, I haven't revisited it, so I'm not entirely sure how well it holds up.
That's true.
But I remember really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
But my all-time favorite show has to be Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Really?
Yeah, like totes. I totally. I'm devoted to that.
Toads my goats, my man.
That's right.
Totes my goats.
Totes my goats. Tote bag.
Yeah. We have to make that. Like, I've got the design and everything ready. Although our last set of merch went a little flat, which is okay because I mean,
okay, yeah.
I didn't market it as well as I probably should have. But you know what? We had fun designing the stuff, and then if anybody ever wants it again, all you got to say is like, "Hey, bring back that shirt because I want to wear that shirt," and we'll be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then we'll make it available again.
Totally.
It's that easy.
Yeah, just put it in the comments because most of the comments we get are people self-promoting.
Yeah, I like, nice podcast, guys. Also, be sure to like and subscribe on my channel.
Yeah.
And they've got like a whole one video, but somehow they've got like 1,000 subscribers. I don't know how we got to do that. We got to start spamming other channels with like, hey, come, you guys have a good video here, but you want to see great videos? Come to our channel.
Yeah, this is pretty cool, but if you want to see something real.
Yeah, if you want to get some real down-to-earth content, come watch another new voice show.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, and we can put like even some, can you post images on
Actually,
YouTube comments?
I don't think so, but you know, we can probably do that one thing. Did you ever as a kid go online and do one of those like it's not really like text to picture.
I know what it is. I know.
But basically, it's like those like dots and slashes and everything, and then make like a T-Rex or something like that.
Yeah,
Because we can post those.
Let's do that.
We should just make those of our logo.
Yeah. Of our logo, and then maybe even go a little bit more realistic.
And then just have photorealistic pictures of I don't know, bathing grandmas. Because that'll draw someone's attention.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a demographic out there for that one.
I'm sure there is.
You. Yeah. But no, Avatar's where it's at, man. Yeah. And,
That's one of those shows I never really got to get into because it always aired a little later at night. Oh. And that's when I always turned off the TV and would either go play video games or I would just go to bed because I always went to bed pretty early. And I mean, honestly, I still do. Sleep is a very important thing to me.
Yeah.
It's been a crucial part of my life for a very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never really got into that show. But pretty much everyone I talk to about cartoons, like that's one of the top cartoons always.
Yeah. For me, number one, for sure. I think I've watched a lot of cartoons. Right now, Young Justice is a pretty close runner-up.
Young Justice is really good. I did enjoy that a lot.
And that's getting a season 3 out.
I know. I'm really excited for that.
Looking forward to that. But no, that one, definitely for sure. The only place I know to reliably find it is like go to Best Buy and pick up a DVD box set.
Yeah, I know.
But,
it's hard. Like I always feel bad when I watch like streaming cartoons online without like promoting the show. Just because that's kind of like I don't know.
I wouldn't know from experience, but from what I hear, it's a lot easier to find cartoons than it is live action.
That is that I've heard that as well.
Yeah. like I heard a lot of people have been getting frustrated trying to find Game of Thrones lately.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of people trying to stream Game of Thrones without having to do the free month of HBO because you can only do that so many times.
Yeah. But that Game of Thrones is another fantastic TV show, which I don't think that's another one you haven't gotten into.
That's not one I've gotten into. I've only heard fantastic things about the show, and I've watched a little bit of it, but for some reason I just can't get into it. But at the same time, I had that problem early with Breaking Bad because it's just one of those shows that gets so hyped up where you're like, okay, I don't know if it's just actually that good or if it's one of those shows that everyone just feels like they have to like because it's a part of the time.
Like what?
Well, like a lot of people, like everyone said that they loved Breaking Bad, but it was also one of those things where it was just like it wasn't cool if you didn't like Breaking Bad. And that's one of those things where, like, I feel like Game of Thrones is like, okay, everyone just likes it because everyone likes it. It's not actually a great show, but from what I've really heard, and the same thing happened with Breaking Bad, is like it's actually a really good show, and there's a reason so many people like it. Yeah,
no, I would agree with the latter statement there.
Yeah.
Having watched it, it can be a bit gratuitous at times.
Yeah.
But I think that is like partly. I mean, it's partly for the spectacle and for the attention, but I think it's also playing off of the realism of the era that it's based on. Because if you watched the Jon Snow Ramsay Bolton battle, or I guess he's Ramsay Snow too, huh? That one, like that battle is crazy intense and crazy disgusting at times, but aside from a few magic factors, it's a very realistic medieval battle. Like, that's kind of how they went down.
That's cool.
But I just like that show for many reasons, but some of them are like, the characters are amazing. The way they juggle so many different stories and plots is just really impressive. And then just from a cinematographic, standpoint, it's just like so crazy. Like, if you look at like a breakdown of the most recent battle sequence where they brought out a dragon, like,
that's cool.
It was crazy, and just seeing like the cinematography. No, well, I was gonna say like the history of on-screen battles that went into the making of it and the way it built up into it. Like, it's very cool.
That's really cool.
But it's a lot to take in, so I don't blame people when they're like, no, not for me.
I feel like it's a show that could totally be for me. It's just not a show that I've totally dived into. And since is this the last season that's currently on right now? Is this going to be like the final season?
No. So there's 10 seasons. This is season 7. So there's gonna be 2 more after this one. But 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe I'm wrong and it's not 10. But I know this isn't the last one. But starting now, they're going down from 10 episodes a season to 7.
And they're out of book material now, right?
Like, yeah, they're ahead of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is George R.R. Martin, is he the guy that wrote Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Is he working with the show to keep it as close to the books as possible?
His name is in the credits. But I have not read the books, so I don't know how. I know of a few differences, and I know that some of the differences are pretty significant, and so now the show is functioning off of those changes that they've made. And I've heard that book readers have concerns about George R.R. Martin taking the direction that the show has gone and the success he sees in that, and then having that influence the way he
instead
continues
of like
writing.
just the book.
Yeah. But I'm not the guy to talk to about that. I don't know enough. But, yeah.
Well, that's cool. At least, he's a part of it, which is always nice when the author is a part of the series that it's being based off of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. That one, though, I like watching it because it's such a big cultural phenomenon.
That is cool.
Like, I walk down the street and I hear people talking about it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But
that is one of the things that I also felt with Breaking Bad. Was like you couldn't go somewhere without somebody being like, so have you seen that show about the 2 guys who make meth? That one's crazy, right? Did you see that finale? Oh my goodness, that was amazing. And then you would like get into talking about the entire show and like why you started watching it.
Yeah, totally.
And that's one of the things that I feel like I have missed out with on Game of Thrones. Because I haven't gotten into it. At least it's not totally over yet, so I'm not going to have to watch it when it's finished.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm watching too many things right now at the same time, too.
Totally.
One of those things is Rick and Morty.
That's what I was going to say, because the other enormous cultural phenomenon right now is Rick and Morty.
It's like, so good, though. It
is.
I totally get it.
I missed the most recent one, though.
I haven't seen that. Okay, I'm actually, before I started watching Season 3, because I watched the first episode when they were live streaming it on adultswim.com and the first episode of season 3.
Yeah.
And I watched that and I was like, wow, that was hilarious. I can't wait for more. And then I decided, you know what? There's only 20 episodes before that because it's only 10 episodes a season. I was like, I'm just going to rewatch the first 2 seasons and then start on season 3. That way I can flow right into exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm almost done with season 2. I'm like 4 episodes away and I started it like 2 nights ago. So, I'm really excited to watch season 3, and that show it gets better the second time you watch it because you pick up on even more jokes. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. Well, so you saw. Let's just be aware that anybody listening is at risk of spoilers. We're gonna try to keep it as vague as possible, but like
so far, I don't think anything's been spoiled.
Right. But you've seen the pilot or the first episode of season 3, right?
Yes, that's with the Szechuan sauce and everything. Yeah.
And then like there's the part in the Citadel where they're all going around and crazy, and then Hammer Morty shows up just for a second.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm rewatching it because I did rewatch it too. I saw Hammer Morty earlier. And
Hammer Morty shows up in that episode. I forget what it is.
It's like the one with
it's not
Eye
a Rickle in time. Yeah, it's the one with Eye Patch Morty, who's got the Robo Rick.
Yeah.
And then, but he shows up in there, and then there's a couple of other things that I've noticed with different characters when they show up.
Yeah.
I don't think Mr. Poopy Butthole has shown up again. I think he was only in the one episode.
Oh, he come. Do you
Does
want
he
me
come
to tell
back in
you?
season 3?
Not in season 3. He actually comes back in season 2. Do you want me to tell you what happens? Because you've probably already seen it. Right?
No, I've already seen it. I just don't. I don't remember him showing up. I haven't gotten to it in my rewatch yet.
He doesn't really like do anything important. He just shows up in the after credit scene.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. Okay. Yeah, I've always they actually. I was gonna say, like, I've always wanted to see more of what Mr. Poopy Butthole has done, but they spawned off a comic series.
Oh my gosh.
All about the adventures of Mr. Poopy Butthole.
That's
so there's
amazing.
an entire series out there. There's also a comic series for Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Which is, I think,
heard
about like 25 issues in. It might be even like 50 issues in already. It's crazy.
Wow.
I know. So all of my favorite cartoons have had comic book adaptations to them as well. One of them being The Simpsons, and I've got the first issue of The Simpsons, and then they had a Futurama like comic series, and I was like, whoa, I want to get the first issue of the Futurama comic because that'd be awesome. And they're really expensive to get. Like the first issue of the Futurama comic is like $50.
Oh my gosh.
Same thing with the Rick and Morty issue. There it is. That one's also $50. So they're really expensive, and I just want to be able to have them because it's like a really cool thing to have like the first issue of your favorite show's comic series.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Poopy Butthole is also sitting on the shelf over there.
Yes. One of my friends got me a Mr. Poopy Butthole plushie, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then my other friend, he got me a Mr. Meeseeks, and I still haven't moved that over here to where we record. But, you know, I'm okay with buying all kinds of Rick and Morty merch and stuff like that because the designs for the characters are fantastic.
I have a friend who actually just got a tattoo of Rick and Morty on her arm.
That's crazy.
And it's like her whole shoulder.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a portal with Rick and Morty's silhouette in front of it.
Oh, it's a silhouette, so they're not like colored in or anything. It's
right.
Just, that's really cool.
It is cool, but I also feel like I don't know if I could be that dedicated to somebody else's idea.
Yeah, I know. It's like I've always really thought the tattoos are like, you know, they're cool. And there's certain things you think about, like I know one of my friends really wants to get the Triforce tattooed like on his wrist because, you know, like Zelda was a really big part of his life. But at the same time for me, it's like I don't know if anything's been so big on my life to where I need a permanent like reminder like to show everyone else because like I remember exactly like how impactful that was. I just don't know if I need that permanently on my skin forever.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've been talking a lot about tattoos lately. I don't know why. I don't have any intention of getting one soon. I feel like I'd be open to it if I had the right idea, but I don't.
Yeah. I'd have to have something really cool to like really be like, yeah, okay, I want that on my body.
Yeah.
But it's at the same time though, it's like I just don't know. How do you feel about tattoos?
Like on other people?
No, not like on other people exactly, but
On
I mean, I guess you kind of have to think about it on other people if you're gonna think about it like okay,
how
if
people
I
would
want to look
perceive
like that.
me or something. Yeah. I don't really think anything. I think it depends on the tattoo. Like
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like if somebody like most tattoos are pretty benign.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a problem with it.
I don't like have a problem with tattoos. I just don't think I personally would want that many tattoos. I've heard it's incredibly painful. And at the same time, too, it's like a whole sleeve that is no longer my skin. No, that is permanently just like something else. For some people, that's a really cool thing, but for me, it's like I've got noodle arms. Noodle arms don't need to be covered up in ink, because then what if for some reason, if I got a tattoo now and then I got stronger later, let's say like I get my noodle arms to become not noodle arms, well then that tattoo's gonna get all morphed and be looking weird and stuff. Yeah. I don't want that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I don't know, just aesthetically for me, I'm not a huge fan of for myself of putting tattoos everywhere. If I were to do it, it would just be like one somewhere, probably on my arm. Yeah. But no, it wouldn't be like a crazy like masterpiece of art.
What, you don't want to get like a sweet surfer van that's also got like flying sky tigers and the great Himalayas in the background of that? So you're basically just getting the coolest van ever tattooed on your elbow.
Well, I wasn't thinking about that before, but when you put it that way,
see, it's like okay, all right. We're gonna pause the podcast now. We're gonna go take a ride.
Look up the tattoo parlor number.
Hello. Yeah, I'd like to. I you know, there's a tattoo idea that I really want. Oh yeah, what would that be? Well, okay, you know those sick vans with those really sweet paint jobs. Yeah, I need one of those today. All right, I'll move my 345.
Yeah, no. How did we get onto tattoos?
It just kind of moved over from we were talking about Rick and Morty, and then a friend of yours got a Rick and Morty tattoo,
right.
Then I don't know. So Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Batman the Animated Series, Avatar: The Last Airbender, a couple of our favorite shows. I mean, there's so many more.
All the way back to the beginning of the podcast.
Dude, I know. Like, that is a full recap. In case you got lost anywhere on one of our tangents, we are back together on the same page. Another show of mine, and I've just been watching a lot of cartoons recently. Okay. King of the Hill. I don't know if you've ever seen King of the Hill, but oh my goodness. That show, I don't know why it's so funny to me, because it's like really stupid humor.
Who are the creators?
Mike Judge is the creator, and he also created Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
And then another person who's one of the producers is actually Toby from The Office.
Oh.
Which
one is Toby?
Toby's the HR guy, the really like...
I gotta admit, The Office is one that I watched when it was on, but I never really got into.
Oh, I got really into The Office. I've probably seen that show like 45 times. Like,
wow.
I'm not kidding. I'm talking about every single season, like 45 times.
That's an accomplishment.
There's this thing where I'll start watching a show, and then I don't want to like get into a new show.
Yeah.
So I'll just keep watching that same show.
Well, because you were talking about earlier about how you'd been watching too many shows right now, and that's
now I'm trying to get out of that rhythm of watching all the same shows. Like right now on Netflix, I'm watching Ozark, Master of None, which is fantastic, by the way. I don't know if you've seen Master of None, but great show.
I think
with Aziz Ansari.
When the first season came out, I was going to a lot of parties, and then at every party I went to, it was playing in the background, just on autoplay. Yeah, so
that's not really a show I would see playing at parties.
Yeah,
because it's like a really chill show that's really clever. You can't really like I could totally see like Rick and Morty being one of those shows because it's just on. You watch it for like a couple of seconds and there's constant jokes coming out. Same thing with like Bob's Burgers. It's one of those shows that just keeps going and going and going, and every like couple of beats there's a joke in there.
Yeah.
But with Master of None, it's like a whole build up for like this really really funny joke.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's smaller jokes in between to keep it interesting, of course. But it's just like it's not one of those. I just don't picture that as a party TV show.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway.
I mean, that's the only environment that I watched it in, and it was only bits and pieces of the first season. So that's my knowledge of the show.
I would recommend watching it.
Yeah.
That's
well, I hear it's good. The only episode I think I really paid attention to was the one where it's him and his, I think he's the son of Chinese immigrants.
Yes,
and it's
that one's a cool episode.
And you get to see their dad's like childhood. That one was the best impression I got of the show, but
that's honestly like that's one of the cool things about the show because it takes a lot of real world I don't want to say like real world problems or anything like that. It's more just like little things that we face all the time, whether it be like like minor, and I'm not talking about like big picture like KKK racism or something like that, but it takes like little bits of racism, little bits of like sexism, and doesn't force it down your throat, but it more puts it in a really normal and real environment, and then also puts jokes on both sides.
Yeah.
So it's a really clever show in that respect, where it's like you're seeing that and you're being like, oh, that's cool. It's almost like there's a lesson, but there's not really a lesson. It's not one of those like after school specialty things, but it's like it's a really good show.
That is good. Well, yeah. I mean, and maybe I'll watch it just for that aspect because I do remember watching one line from the show where he talked about how Indian Americans, not American Indians. It's different. But Indian Americans were like underrepresented in media.
Yeah.
And so like my ignorance on the subject made me realize I was ignorant to it because it was not something I realized.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, one of the things it talks about is like one of the biggest Indian characters in all of media is Apu from The Simpsons, who is like he was a white guy voicing the Indian gas station owner, which is like I know a lot of Indian gas station owners, but the fact that like one of the big Indian guys is just like a gas station owner, that's just one of the things it plays on. It's like wow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. It's done really well. It's not like wow, you guys shouldn't like The Simpsons because they make fun of Indian people. It's more like nah, I mean that's just fine. But at the same time, why can't there be regular people who are Indian that talk like normal people, normal people, like real life?
Yeah, totally. Well, like what was I thinking about earlier? There was it doesn't matter. Keep moving on. But all of those shows that you were watching, you said Ozark, Master of None, Rick and Morty.
I'm watching a lot of Netflix originals. Not Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is not one of the Netflix originals, but like BoJack Horseman, which is coming out with the new season soon.
I'm so excited. The date got announced. Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows too. I love that.
Dude, that show is fantastic.
It is.
Like, I really like adult cartoons, and I like children's cartoons as well. I like all kinds of cartoons, but BoJack is one of the really clever shows that just does it right.
Yeah, that's one where I actually, every time there's a new season out, I do go back and rewatch the whole thing.
Just that's because, what I've done too.
Yeah, because for that show, I don't know what it is about it, but like the characters a lot of the time are not nice people.
No, they're
but
not.
You get connected to them.
Yeah.
And the way they successfully do that is really interesting. So when
There's
I get
only,
to the last penultimate episode of the most recent season, every time I'm like, I can't let it finish. I gotta go start over.
Yeah, I know.
And then get the finale. Yeah.
It's like, and when you were saying that there are not a lot of nice people, there's only like 2 nice guys in that entire show, and that's Todd and Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah.
Like, they're the only 2 people who are nice. Bojack is the worst man. Like, he's just so mean. He's the he's the worst horseman. And then, I mean, pretty much Diane, Princess Carolyn, they're all just not nice people.
Yeah.
But you're really intrigued to see how they survive in these awful situations. Because it's one of those shows that has incredibly lighthearted comedy throughout, but also there's just these really deep things that keep happening the entire time. Like Bojack struggling with just, like his depression and stuff like that, and just him feeling alone in the world, and then like dealing with his issues of an abusive mother and father are all going into one silly show, which is incredible. I don't know how it works out, but it works out.
Bojack's backstory with his parents is really depressing, but one of my favorite jokes in the show is the part where his dad is explaining to him how to get from one coast of the United States to the other. Like, do you remember what?
I kind of remember that. I know there's a lot of those where I'll go back and just laugh. What was the joke though?
Well, he said something like maybe I'm wrong in that was the destination, but you had to get around the Americas, and he said, what are you gonna do? And then I forget what Baby Bojack's response was, but basically his dad hits him and then says, "No, you're not gonna sail through the Panama Canal like some kind of Democrat. You're gonna go all the way. You're gonna go all the way around the continent."
Oh yeah, I remember
like
you're gonna go right down the
tip
of whatever.
Yeah.
That show is so good. It's really funny.
It is.
That's one of the ones that I always recommend people watch. Like, although there are a lot of people who, for some reason, I don't know exactly why, but a lot of people cannot stand to watch adult cartoons. And I don't really get that.
I think because cartoon, like, one of the reasons I like cartoons, and we're talking a lot about cartoons this episode, even though we were trying to broaden
a lot of our
it to
favorite shows are
stuff.
cartoons.
Yeah. But Avatar is mostly because of the style of the show and the setting and stuff. It gets lumped in with anime. Yeah. Which to me, it kind of bridges the gap between Western cartoons and anime.
Well, one of the things that Avatar does is, because with Japanese storytelling, it's a very different, it's kind of a spiral storytelling, whereas
flashbacks.
Well, like, there's kind of like a lot of twists and turns, and it's not a linear story. It's told in a bunch of different ways. Avatar is kind of told in a linear, like, Western fashion, but it's still in the same style and feeling of kind of like an anime show. So that's where it sort of comes together. Okay. And that's one of the things, I never was into anime, so I always thought it was going to be like, oh, it's going to be one of those anime shows. I'm not going to enjoy it that much. But I keep hearing like it's not actually that way.
No, I mean, I was big into anime. I used to be, not so much anymore. But it does have that feel to people who are not familiar with anime, because then it becomes like the closest thing that they might think of it. But no, I wouldn't say that I would not classify it as an anime. But one of the reasons I like it so much is the art. Yeah. And the animation, because like, if a cartoon, even if it's good, if the animation is not good, I'm not gonna like it as much. Which is why I'm sometimes really surprised that I like Rick and Morty, because the animation is amazing, but sometimes it's purposefully like,
it's really gross,
juvenile, or just outright disgusting. So
that's one of the things that I feel like does turn people off of adult animation, though, is because you get a lot of really just bad art, or just really like, not bad, but just sometimes you get really crappy artists that are doing really bad animation, or you get stuff like Family Guy where it's just really grotesque. Yeah. Really just like inappropriate drawings and stuff like, I don't know, like, what inappropriate, I feel like a kindergartner. But just stuff that I can totally see turning me off from a show is like, some of the designs and stuff of different characters and like Family Guy, whatever. But what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say that the look of a show, like, that's why I like, one of the reasons I like Avatar so much is the animation of it, and I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but I think that the Family Guy is one that you're right, it did turn me off of it. One, because Seth MacFarlane's humor is kind of hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
But also, I just don't like looking at his shows.
That's the same with me.
Yeah.
That's because there's a charm that a lot of different animation styles will bring out that even if you don't necessarily like the show, you like the idea and like just kind of the look of it. Like I've always thought Adventure Time had a great design and everything. I don't necessarily love the humor and stuff as much, but it's one of those shows that I can totally get behind in the design. Same thing with regular show. Flapjack was this super... I don't know if you ever watched The Misadventures of Flapjack.
I did, and that was one where I actually liked the show, but sometimes I chose not to watch it just because it kind of...
It was really creepy. Like, J.G. Quintel and Pendleton Ward made the weirdest and probably just... Okay, that show and Ren and Stimpy are, like, hand in hand. The two grossest TV, like, cartoons that made it fairly successful. Like, Ren and Stimpy is one of those shows that I respect so much because it took... being a children's cartoon and somehow made it into MTV being like one of the best viewed by adults. Like it had, I think, about a 30% watch rate was from adults, not children.
Yeah.
Because it was so disturbingly animated and it was bizarre. It's something that almost like takes your breath away when you watch that show.
It's a trip. Yeah, it's like an acid trip when you're
watching it. It really is.
Now I remember what I was going to say because we were talking about how like adult cartoons versus like the animation quality is not that good all the time, and I think that's because in the United States at least animation is seen as for children, and so it's also way more expensive than live action.
That's true. It takes so long to animate and stuff like that. It's crazy.
So when you are trying to market something that people perceive as for children to adults, that's a big risk, and so you don't want to put a lot of money into the animation to make it look good. Yeah. So you're kind of just hoping like, hey, if we make it gross, then they'll know it's not for kids, and then they'll come, and we also get to save money on not making it look pretty or whatever. Yeah. I
mean, there are a ton of successful adult animated shows, though. I mean,
now
one of them being The Simpsons, which has been around for like 28 years or whatever. But I mean, it's just taken a really long time for the idea of things where you can have swearing and adult situations put on through drawings, which it seems weird, but at the same time, it's like, why is that weird? Why is that any different than conveying like a story about toothpaste that Thomas the Tank Engine is talking about? You know?
Yeah,
it's really. Like that's what I don't understand why you can't like separate it. Like it is the same art form, but you can tell so many different stories. Yeah, because there are children's books. But there are also adult books, and it's basically the same thing. It's like you're only reading words, but those words are also like they're telling different stories. It's not like every cartoon is gonna be like SpongeBob, where it's the same story, where you're gonna talk about like the misadventures of this little kid. You can also talk about the misadventures of an adult that has to deal with all kinds of adult situations. So it's like
totally, and I'm really happy to see the broadening of that medium because mediums generally don't limit themselves in audience. Yeah. And so to be able to see it spread out and open itself to a greater audience. Also, I just really appreciate like powerful and well done and animation that has a heart in it.
Me too.
Like Studio Ghibli is obviously like the what you think of when you think of that. But it's nice to see that there's more of that around now.
And I mean, even with the Sausage Party coming out a little while ago, there's just this really big. Okay, I didn't necessarily love that movie, but it's one of those things where I like that there's at least a push to bring animation into the adult world, even that 3D animated style. Because all we get from that is like Pixar. I wouldn't say is just for kids. I would say Pixar is one of those things where it kind of bridges the gap for where it's for everyone.
It makes a good story. Like, you don't have to. Like, sure, like, cussing and gross humor and stuff, like, all that stuff, parents aren't super comfortable showing that stuff to their kids, understandably, but you can't make a show off of that, you know? Yeah. You need to have a decent story.
And that's kind of what Sausage Party was. It was like, hey, how many F words can we throw into an animated movie? And that was like, I mean, sure, But at the same time, some of the most successful animated, like Bob's Burgers is one of those shows where it's really, really successful right now.
Yeah.
But also, it's one of those shows that there's not a whole lot of swearing. There's like your craps, your dams, and stuff like that, but nothing too incredibly awful. Where, I mean, Rick and Morty is a show that just shows you so much and has so much swearing and everything, but it does it with a point. The point is to be so over the top. Bob's Burgers is just really fun storytelling that is for more centered towards adults. Because there are certain things where, like, I mean, one of the episodes is about Linda having her friends come over and then having, like, they're just basically having a sex toy party where they're selling vibrators and stuff like that. And it's like, that sort of stuff is really funny because, like, she just thought, oh, it's a lady party or whatever. It's just gonna be something where people come over and talk. But no, it's like
eyes wide shut.
Exactly. Wow, that movie's wild, man.
Yeah. No, I love Bob's Burgers when it's on, but I have not sat down and watched it all the way through.
That's not one of the shows you really have to watch all the way through.
You can kind of watch it.
Yeah, because one of the things I also appreciate about shows, I love shows that you can pick up at any episode. You don't have to watch everything in succession, because it's really hard to write out a 20-minute story. And then writing out like 10 to 15 20-minute stories, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're doing that like, all the time. So you're 1 week for a full season, you have to write out this story that only lasts 15 minutes on its own. It's a lot easier to go like, okay, we're going to start with this, then we're going to build up with that. Okay, now we're building on that more. And then, I mean, they're still having their own individual stories a lot in those Succession type TV shows. Yeah. But it's one of those things like, Breaking Bad, you had to pretty much start from the beginning to understand what's going on if you start in the middle of the third season. But with Bob's Burgers, you can watch the seventh season, then go back to the first season, and the only thing that's different is sound quality and animation. Yeah. You're right. That's pretty much the only difference there.
I see that. I think that brings in a more casual audience, which I think is good for the industry.
Especially TV.
It's also nice to just be able to, I feel like watching this, I'm going to turn it on, and then turn it on. Yeah. Yeah. This is a cooking show.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's also a show about people who cook. Yeah. Which is good.
Oh my gosh, cooking shows. Those things are wild. Like, between cooking shows and, like, HGTV specials, I just can't stop watching them. They're one of those things that are like, if I'm at a hotel, and then they left the TV on, and it's on the Food Network, and all of a sudden, Guy Fieri's going up and he's like, welcome to Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives! We're gonna get some barbecue, and it's gonna be insane! And then all of a sudden, you're watching that, and then 2 hours goes by, and you're like, shoot, I was gonna go to the beach.
Yeah, where am I?
I know! It's like, they just suck you in, and I don't know how they do that. Especially, like, another one of those shows, Buying Islands on HGTV. It's just bad acting, but it's people who are so rich, they're going out and buying their own islands. It's insane.
That is crazy. And then they make more money off of the show.
Yeah.
They probably don't get paid too much from the show. It's produced, but whatever.
But
that's crazy.
It's like, stuff like that is so crazy to me. And then I just keep watching it. And I don't know why.
I hate, because, like, a lot of the time I'll be watching a show and I'll be like, I should be doing something else. And I don't even like the show. Why am I watching it?
I know.
Right? And then, like, I finally had to realize that if I get up and leave, I will not continue thinking about this show. And I will not care what happens to these characters or these people. So, like, why am I invested now? Because after it's over, I won't be. Like, it will not have affected me having watched this at all.
Well, it's like when you're watching the History Channel, and all of a sudden, like, Pawn Stars goes on, and then you're stuck with Pawn Stars, and you can't stop watching Pawn Stars. Once you start, it's like, okay, I'll keep watching Pawn Stars. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, there's a break, and it's like a documentary special, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to watch that. I don't care to learn about World War II and the secrets of, like, people trying to escape the concentration camps. That's stupid. Where's my Pawn Stars? And then you leave for an hour, but you didn't turn off the TV, because you know what?
You can't.
You don't need to turn off the TV. You got to leave that in the background. Maybe you'll absorb some secondary knowledge, something like that. Yeah. But then you come back, and American Pickers is on. And you sit down and you watch that for 8 hours. All of a sudden, it is midnight, and they're just about to air the same episodes of Pawn Stars again. You got to get to bed. Yeah. But why do they suck you in?
It's so weird. That's like weird like science psychology stuff. Yeah. It's like when you're scrolling through Twitter and you're like, do I really need to see what this person is saying about the flowers that they put in their meal today?
But if you don't see it then, you're probably not going to see it ever again.
Yeah, so ever again, and then it's something that you'll never experience in your life.
Exactly. It's like what is it? It's not League of Legends. It's World of Warcraft that does the thing where, like, they formulate their game to just be addicting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. I can see
I feel like that's why they make like shows like American Pickers and stuff like that. They design it specifically so it's addicting. And then one of the things that they do is the stupid commercial break thing where it's like, and they come and see this after the break, and then they do that really clickbaity thing where you like turn and then they like open up a cabinet and they're like, holy cow, this is in the cabinet, and then it's like boom.
Now I gotta see what's in the cabinet.
Yeah, it's like. And you sit there like, I gotta see. Yeah. And then you're gonna sit and you're gonna watch a commercial about Folgers and then some like hemorrhoid cream, and then all of a sudden you're back and you're like, oh man, I'm so glad that was over. Well, at least I can leave now. This was in the storage room? Okay, I gotta come back.
And then all of a sudden it's just like a rusty wrench that they find in there. It's like,
well,
whoa.
And sometimes they don't find anything, and it'll be like, wow, it's another Coca-Cola sign. That's weird to find that in this Coca-Cola factory. It's like, what? But then you're still like, maybe they'll find something else that's cool. And they're like, wow, a rare vintage bottle from 1952. Only 100 of these were made. And it's like, how do you know about that? What's going on? Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, how do you ever, like, those shows don't get me as much because, like, I've become aware of the tricks they have to keep me hooked. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh no, you're just trying to trick me. No way, Jose. And then I just pull the plug and throw the TV in the trash.
There you go. That's how you do it.
That's how you fix it.
You'll never watch TV again.
That's how you get to those Pawn Stars and those pickers. Like, there's no... you can't hurt them any other way.
Oh, my gosh.
But the one that does get me is freaking Antique Roadshow. Because it's on PBS and doesn't have commercials. So, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no trickery! How much is this jade necklace gonna be? Oh no! What's it gonna be in this year? Because, like, every episode is filmed from 10 years ago. Like, what is this? And then every once in a while, Mark Wahlberg jumps in and starts yelling at me about how I can show up at the Antiques Roadshow myself. But he won't be there, so what's the point? I hope I didn't just blow out everybody's eardrums with that tirade. But
it's fine. Okay, one thing though, I can't actually watch Pawn Stars anymore because it's not like that sounds like something bad happened to me. Like Rick just found me and he's like, "This is my pawn shop." And then
I never know what's gonna come through that door.
I know it's gonna come through your door.
Uh-oh.
Sounded really rapey the way I set it up.
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't watch Pawn Stars. Not because anything like scarring happened to me. Okay, I guess something a little scarring happened to me, but it was nothing that the people from Pawn Stars did.
Was it a clown picture?
No.
Okay.
I love clown pictures. There's many a story I could tell about clown pictures, but I was at Comic-Con. It was Stanley's, no, it's Kamikaze at the time. It was before it was Stanley's LA Comic-Con. And it was the first year I went, and it was actually the first Comic-Con I'd ever been to. And I think that was I think it was like, I don't know, I was 8th grade, what is it, like 2013, 2014, something like that. And I was just, I was walking through the convention and everything, and then I loved this show, Comic Book Men. It was on AMC. I got really into it because they had some episodes on Netflix, so I started watching
one guy from that on Movie Fights now?
I don't
the
know.
one that always wore the jerseys?
Oh, Kevin Smith? Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin Smith's been around for a really long time, but he kind of like founded it, and he founded that comic shop and everything.
Okay, cool.
But Kevin Smith wasn't there. But one of the other guys, he's a big bearded man. His name's Brian Johnson, and he's just the guy who doesn't actually work at the comic shop. But he comes in, and he just kind of hangs out all the time.
That's funny.
So I talked to him for a while, because there was no line for him. It was like, the next day, I couldn't go up and talk to him, even if I wanted to. And then they would like charge me and everything for an autograph. But on the first day, it was Friday. It was Friday night, so I just walked by. There was no one there. I talked to Mike Zapsik, Ming Chen. I talked to like all the comic book men. But then I really talked to Brian Johnson because he was just sitting there. He's like, "Yeah, I don't care, man. Let's talk." I talked to him for about 35 minutes. It was really cool.
That is
like
really
that's
cool.
Seriously meeting someone.
Yeah.
But then I talked to him, and then also another fun fact during this conversation, a lady came by. A total stranger, and she's just like, "I love your show," and then she came by and she like gave Brian Johnson a kiss, and then I was like, "What's going on?" And then she gave me a kiss, and then she walked away, and I was like on the cheek.
Okay.
And she was probably like 35. I was like, "What's going on?" And then he looks and he's like, "Was that your mom?" And I was like, "No, what?" And he's like, "Dude, nice." And then he gave me a fist bump. Nice. But anyway, I was talking to him about comic book man and just kind of how that show works, and I was like, So is it really faked? Is it kind of like you guys set up actors to come in with comic books, or you know exactly what's going on? And then he was like, no, actually kind of the way our show works is people will call in and they'll say like, hey, I've got this huge collection, and then they'll kind of tell us like what a couple of the books are. They won't tell us every book because we don't want them to. We want it to be as genuine as possible, but at the same time, you can't have Like camera crews there 24/7 waiting for someone to come in with some $1,000 books. You don't just that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It happens rarely. I've seen it happen one time in an actual comic book store, but I've never. That just you're not gonna get these people with these crazy books.
Are you
so what
still
they do,
talking about Brian
Johnson?
Brian
Still conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so those were his words. Where
those were his words.
Okay.
Yeah, he's telling me this right now.
I wasn't sure if that was an aside from the rest of the story.
No, I know. Sometimes I do that. I'll get on like another separate tangent, like I'm on right now. But anyway, so he's telling me more about the show and just kind of how it works. And then I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then he says, that's totally not how Pawn Stars works. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, Pawn Stars is a sham. Because what they do is those people who like curate the show or whatever, like the people who go in and they're like, yeah, this is worth about, $1,000. And then I'll make sure this signature is real. What's happening? Those are the people that, own businesses in Vegas or whatever. They're taking stuff from either like their museum or their store. They're coming in, giving it to an actor. The actor goes in, and then there's no real money being transferred there. It's literally just like them looking at a thing and then calling up their quote-unquote buddy. Their buddy is the dude who gave the thing to the actor. Yeah. Then they go in, they tell you all about it, and then the Pawn Stars guys are like, okay, we'll take this. That's why when you ever go into the pawn shop, if you ever go like there in real life, a lot of the stuff that's on the show, you won't see there because it's not for sale. Wow. It's in a museum or in another shop. Pawn Stars outed. I know. Right exposed. And that's we just got the scoop. Stupid.
Yeah, it is. That's why reality shows. That's why we were talking about. Were we talking about YouTube in one of these podcasts?
Yeah, we talked about YouTube. It was like the third podcast, something like that.
I think so. And so like that facade of false reality that reality shows put on is why YouTube is so popular, because it's. There is still a bit of a veil. There are elements of
the false reality, but at the same time, it's real.
Yeah.
It's as real as something that's going to be in front of a camera can get.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
unless you go to World Star.
World Star. But yeah, that's I don't like reality TV. There's probably no reality TV show that I really like other than those like. Because I don't consider those HGTV shows or the like American Pickers and stuff like that. I don't consider that reality TV. I just consider that like. I don't even know what that would be. Just entertainment.
Yeah.
From the point where it's like, it's not really real.
It's daytime television.
I always think of reality TV as like Jersey Shore, The Bachelor, stuff like that.
I get into Survivor some of the time.
Survivor is kind of different though, because it's more of like a game show aspect.
You're right. I guess there's a divide between game show and reality.
I mean, like everything's. I mean, every show like that's based like. In reality or whatever, it's kind of a reality TV show.
Yeah.
Where it's like real people doing real things, like Naked and Afraid. One of those.
Yeah. I'll watch that every once in a while.
That's actually I enjoy Naked and Afraid, not in that creepy way, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who watch it that are just like, oh, they're gonna be naked. Yes.
It's not worth it without the blur, and I can't find that on porn.
I've never that show is so weird. It's so bizarre, but at the same time, it's one of those shows where I'll watch like probably 10 episodes
in a row.
No, yeah, like it's on, so I might as well just keep watching it. Another one of the shows, Wild Justice, every morning on the National Geographic Channel.
I don't know what that is.
So Wild Justice is actually based in Northern California.
Is it really?
Yes, and there's just what they do is they go around. It's just the game wardens and stuff like that. And then they go and they talk to people who are like poaching and stuff like, and they do that. That's all it is. Just like the game warden going to be like, yeah, I heard there were some people duck hunting up here in Bernie. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stop them because I heard they're over their limit. So they'll drive and be like, hey boys, how you doing? And it's totally set up like cops too. You get like the dash cam and everything.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, yeah, we're doing all right. How you doing? There'll be this one guy like chucking ducks into the water. And then
flush the ducks down the toilet.
The ducks.
Hey, looks like you got one too many ducks there.
No, we don't. We're totally fine. Yeah, but yeah, I see that. Come on, let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You boys are over your limit. And then they'll sit there and be like, you know what that is? And they're like, I don't know. We didn't know there was a limit. And then I'll be like, that's $150 fine. And that's what the entire show is about.
That actually sounds pretty good.
It's really entertaining.
I would check that out.
There was one where this guy had to go through Chinatown because someone was illegally selling bear penises. Of
course.
Yeah.
What else?
I know, right? You never know what's gonna happen on Wild Justice, man.
Really?
It's crazy.
So is this like Rhino Horn, where they shoot and kill the bear and then remove its penis and leave the carcass there in the wild?
Sometimes it's just like a hunter will take the pelt and the meat and everything that you'd want from a bear.
Yeah.
And then they'll just sell the penis on the black market because you're not allowed to sell sex organs apparently.
Of any animal?
Of any animal.
Well, you can't get those
Rocky
Mountain oysters.
Okay, that's true. I don't know what classifies it as being illegal, like why you can't sell, because it's like, I mean, it's dead. It's not like it's going to be using its penis.
Maybe it's wild animals. Maybe. Rocky Mountain oysters are bulls.
That's true, because you're using every part of the animal at that. Because you're using all of your cow, all of your steer.
What do they do with the bear penis?
They don't have, I don't know. They just let it.
Do they smoke it?
No, it's something you eat. It's like an aphrodisiac.
Oh.
That's what it is. Okay. Yeah, it's one of those things.
For when people... Okay.
When they gotta get it on.
When Ed's being too cleany.
Yeah. So, I mean, are there any other TV shows that we gotta talk about? Because, I mean, I'm kind of out of TV shows.
Well, I was just gonna... I was just gonna ask, because we were talking about, like, reality shows.
Yeah.
And we came to the conclusion that World Star is as real as it gets. But then I was thinking, like... What about documentaries and stuff like that?
Oh, that's true.
I mean, when I sit down and watch a documentary, most of the time I really enjoy it.
I actually really like watching documentaries.
But I rarely sit down and turn one on. Do you ever?
There are certain documentaries that I actually will go out and find. One of them was, not Shane Dawes, Shay Carl's vlogumentary on YouTube Red. I got my 30-month free trial.
30-month? Free trial? Wait, is
30
that a real thing?
30 day,
okay.
1 month, 30-day free trial. Sorry about
that.
that.
If it's a 30-month,
nope.
I'll totally do that.
That would be awesome, but nope, I have misspoken. I'm sorry about that, people. But yeah, I did my 30-day free trial, and I watched a vlogumentary, which was a show all about YouTubers. And it was really, really interesting, because it was just Shay Carl talking about his family vlogging channel, and then him talking about all of these like other YouTubers, and they just went and filmed other YouTubers talking about what their daily routine is. Some of them are the people who are big enough to where it's like, okay, so I started this whole YouTube thing, and then I kept making videos, and then YouTube
Fred.
Was like, hey,
no, I'm kidding.
They did not talk to him. He wasn't one of the people that showed up, but they did. I think they talked to Smosh for a little bit.
Okay.
They mostly talked to like smaller YouTubers that I hadn't really heard of, but now I watch, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was just it was all talking about like what their like life is all about, and some of them were like, yeah, I can't actually afford YouTube as a full-time job because I've got a lot of subscribers and stuff. But that doesn't always mean you're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool to hear all about that. Another one of the documentaries I specifically looked out for was I Know That Voice. It was a documentary put on from John DiMaggio, the guy who voices Bender from Futurama.
Love
and
him.
Also Jake the Dog and countless other voices. But it was all just him and a bunch of his voice actor friends talking about what voice acting is like. And sort of it went from the history of voice acting to a modern day voice acting is like. And I was like, wow. I love voice acting.
Yeah.
But those are the only two documentaries I can say I've really searched out. There's probably a couple that one of them my dad showed me was something about like the death of Kurt Cobain and how it was actually Courtney Love who killed Kurt Cobain. And I was like, wow, I'm totally sold that it wasn't a suicide. It was crazy, man.
Yeah, I guess you kind of got to be careful with some documentaries because like if they're peddling some stuff, then they can be pretty good at peddling it.
They can.
There's a few on Netflix that you gotta watch out for. One I've heard about though, and I've seen it around, but I just haven't turned it on. I think it's called Tickled. Have you heard about this?
No.
So it's like
you have sold me. Tell me all about Tickled.
No, so I think it's like, oh my gosh, if I remember correctly, it's like a competitive sport.
Tickling?
If I remember, it's either a competitive sport of tickling, yes.
What?
Or it's like kind of like prostitution, but not like there's no sex. It's just tickling.
Whoa!
Right? It's so weird.
Holy!
And so it was like this journalist. He went in and was like, "I want to learn about competitive tickling," and he went in and then like he was like, "This is." He was thinking it was just gonna be like a light reading like. expository piece where he talks about like there's this sport that nobody knows about except for a few
It's called
guys.
tickling.
Yeah. But then like he kept digging deeper and he found like the
Underground tickling.
like an underground like organized like crime syndicate based on tickling or something like.
I'm just imagining some Italian mobster like they've got they just like got this guy tied to a chair. He's like there's like this tub of sharks swimming around. They're about to push him in, but first they sit there and they gotta interrogate him. They gotta get the juice out. But instead of like hitting him with a club in the shins or something like that, he's up there and he's like, "So you're gonna tell me exactly who's been tickling you?"
Yeah.
I wasn't tickling anyone, Johnny. I swear. That's not true. I don't believe it, Tony. Gary. And they come over to start tickling him. No, it was okay. I'm fine. I'm sorry. It was Sal. And he's like, I knew it. Bring Sal to the tank. They just punch the guy down and he's like getting eaten by sharks. Like that's insane.
It's crazy. No, and like so that's what I keep hearing about. I heard it, totally forgot about it until I saw like the thumbnail on Netflix where it was just like a black screen with a white feather that said tickled. And I was like, what is this? And then I saw it and then remembered all of a sudden what somebody was telling me about it. I was like, I gotta watch that. But later.
That's one of those things. It sounds like Rubber, the horror movie with the,
I watched that all the way through and I regret that decision entirely. Oh my god. No.
Freaking just tire with psychic powers.
It was so stupid.
That's awesome. Oh, no, actually, there's another documentary on Netflix that I heard a lot about. It's a guy trying to learn all about Scientology, and he keeps trying to get into the church through like different like sanctions throughout like the U.S.
Gosh.
He tries to be a part of Scientology, but they won't let him in. He can only get so far into the church, and then they kick him out.
Why?
Because he was filming. Another time because they just won't let people in unless they can basically control their will. So there are people, they'll only take in people who are like really weak, who like, because there's times where like people who've gotten out of Scientology, they were talking about it. They're like, yeah, I was put in a cage and tortured for almost a year.
Wait, like tortured how?
Like I don't know exactly what it is, but they'll be like beaten and stuff like that in
wow.
front of a big crowd of people. And like
Ooh.
I didn't really know what Scientology was. I just thought it was a goofy thing, but apparently it's like some crazy cult.
It's pretty crazy.
Like I don't know enough about it to really like go more into this, but I have to watch that documentary because I gotta know.
You gotta watch I think the South Park pieces on it because that's pretty entertaining. Those are pretty crazy, but also like it kind of skeeves me out a little bit, Scientology, but I can't say anything too damning about it because it's like a religion and I've not like educated myself on it enough to be able to
that's the same thing too.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just talking about like what I heard about this documentary. I don't even know if that's exactly true.
Yeah.
But I gotta watch it for myself just to see like what's going on here because it's gotta be kind of weird.
I have always maybe if I say this then they'll bar me forever, but I've always wanted to try and infiltrate their ranks and just see what it's all about. Like
that's what he was trying to do though. He was just trying to see what it's all about, and he couldn't get into like any part of the church. He could only like walk in, and like it's not like a church out in like San Francisco or something like that. You see some like beautiful church, and you're just like, you know what? I just want to walk in and see what it looks like because there's a lot of those, and they're really gorgeous.
I was in San Francisco this weekend and actually walked by a Church of Scientology and looked inside. I was like, whoa, that looks really cool. I should go inside. Then I looked up and saw that word. What? The doors were open. Like, there were people around, like walking around.
Well, they like let you into like I don't know what like there was. It was like he was allowed in, but he couldn't go to like it was like a ceremony room or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it's about. I haven't seen it, but I gotta watch it now, and then I'll tell you all about it.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be a great conversation.
Totally would be. Let's get two guys who watch one documentary and now think they know everything.
They now have opinions, and they're going to share them with you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be interesting, probably. It's two guys talking about religion, and mostly of them all, Scientology.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be an hour long, and there's gonna be no filler, no improv, just pure fact for an hour. Scientology Boys, the sequel.
Yeah. The documentary though that I was going to see because like
oh yes, Tickled.
tickle. No, I mean there's that too. Yeah. After this episode, we should competitively tickle each other.
Yes.
Don't tell anybody about it.
Yeah, I think we should talk about this more.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably not into the mic though. That's kind of weird.
What?
Sorry, people.
There's a mic.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, never. Otherwise, no, I wanted to see Al Gore's new documentary.
What?
Yeah.
Al Gore's got a documentary?
Well, he had this first one, An Inconvenient Truth, out
Oh.
in like the early 2000s. Don't know what year it came out.
I don't know. I mean, that was before my time of knowing about things.
Okay, yeah. But it was all about like people made fun of him because it was like save the whales, and that's a common South Park joke on Al Gore's cost. But and it's funny. But it's like all about climate change is this documentary, and he just released a new one. Which I heard, because the first one wasn't really a documentary. It was just like he had a traveling show where he would basically get up on stage and show everybody a PowerPoint. It was like a really long TED Talk.
Ugh.
And then they just recorded it and showed it. But this new one is supposedly like an actual documentary.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so I wanted to see it, but it wasn't showing in town, which was really disappointing.
Wait, so is it in theaters right now?
It's in theaters, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's not showing in our theaters.
Oh, I hate when they do that.
Yeah, that was really disappointing. But like, just because of I had to do a public speaking presentation 2 semesters ago, and I decided to talk about how the media like influences people's perceptions. And so I was looking at like polls and graphs about people's thoughts and feelings and opinions on climate change, and there's like an incredibly strong correlation with how big of a problem people thought it was and the time his movie came out.
Wait, like his first movie?
His first movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so like everybody was like, okay, kind of I care about it, and then it went like way up when his movie came out. Yeah, and then it kind of like it has been slowly dropping ever since. So and now I think it's farther among many demographics, it's farther down than it was before his movie.
Weird.
But now
you would think that it would be like really high because it's one of the things I keep hearing about all the time.
Yeah,
that's weird.
But then now he's got a second movie out, and it's even more like cinematographic, and I keep saying that word.
I don't know if that is a word, but
it's working for me, I hope. But like it's even more like it uses so many more cinematography tricks and looks pretty.
So
and
it's
has
like
emotional pulls and stuff. So I'm really curious to see how that affects public perception. Although it's been out for a few weeks and I haven't heard anything about it. But
this is the first time I've even heard of that it exists.
Yeah, so. Yeah. So that just shows how powerful television and documentaries are.
Well, I mean, same thing goes on with like news today, and not gonna get into any news talk or politic talk really, but everything is based around like what you see on TV or what you read in the newspaper, like everything you know, because unless you've experienced it all firsthand, and there's no way to do that, it's just shown to you on a screen.
Yeah.
So it's like, I totally get a documentary about climate change would spark people into freaking out a little bit about climate change.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, they finally learned that like, oh, it's a real big thing. We do need to save the whales.
Yeah.
SeaWorld is poopy.
Yeah. Well, Blackfish did the same thing. Like,
yeah.
Blackfish kind of crippled SeaWorld.
Yeah, it really did.
It's impressive. The
there's
power.
a lot of power between, and I mean, there are some documentaries that don't do a thing for the cause, but there are other documentaries that, like, when done the right way, I mean, honestly, like, this kind of is, I guess, kind of like off topic or whatever, but the Blair Witch Project being set up like a documentary, like promoted that way,
yeah,
that freaked so many people out.
Yeah, because they thought it was all real.
Yeah,
and stuff,
I mean, if you can
like...
make something, I mean, I'm not saying like documentaries make things sound real that aren't real, but it's like that they're very impactful in that way. Yeah,
it's a very interesting art form, and I wish I gave more of my time to experiencing it.
That'd be fun. We should try to create a documentary before I go off to LA. We've got a month to make a documentary.
What do you want to document?
I don't know. Let's document the life of a Cheese Whiz can.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds
easy cheese spray.
Those cans last a while. This might be a long project.
We'll just have to eat a lot of crackers.
We're just gonna watch, like, see how it's used and stuff.
Yes. We'll have hidden cameras all over.
Yeah. What secret uses for what'd you call it? Easy Whiz or Cheese Whiz?
It's like easy cheesy whiz spray.
But yeah, we'll find out how people actually use them.
Yeah. Oh, and there's one more thing. One thing to close out the podcast, because yes, it has been a little over an hour now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious.
I was kind of keeping time here.
Okay.
But one thing I wanted to end. This is totally unrelated to everything else we've been talking about. But I'd like to film a challenge video with you, or at least one or two, for my other YouTube channel. Would you be interested?
I think so.
Okay, I'll try and find something that's not totally awful. Oh, and there's one thing I wanted to do too. That's not a challenge video. It's I don't know if you ever saw it, but I had this thing where I read Reddit shower thoughts, but like in a shower. So like we'd go like it's one of my like most popular videos on my channel. Most popular meaning like 156 views, something like that. But thank you to all of those who've seen that video. I love your support. But it was really funny, and I feel like we could do that again.
That sounds amazing.
And then make it just really, really pretty and everything. Just go to some gorgeous locations, and then just say stuff like one of my favorites from that entire series was just I'm just gonna keep going. Wait, what was it? Shoot. Oh, I remember now. Okay, yeah, one of my favorite jokes from that series was just, I'm going to go to every barber and see who cuts his hair. And then just keep going and going and going until I find the greatest barber in the world. Or just a bald man. And then, and we just do stuff like that, but in really like scenic locations that are just all gorgeous and beautiful.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, we'll do that, and then we got to do a couple of challenges. One I think that would be really fun would be another whisper challenge, because those are awesome.
Okay.
Get some people, we can do that, and then a Bean Boozled challenge, because you haven't done that yet.
I haven't done.
You haven't done the Bean Boozled, and then they've got new updated flavors, so it'd be the perfect time to do a Bean Boozled Part 2.
Okay.
Have you ever Bean Boozled?
I've never been.
All right. Well, I guess that's a great place to end the podcast.
Do you want to pimp out your channel?
Yeah, so come see me on my other channel, Joe Mama Giles. There's lots of fun stuff on there. Hopefully, I'm gonna try and do some more stuff this month before I head off to college in Los Angeles.
And you'll have a lot of people down there to help you.
Yes, there might be even more stuff that goes down in LA. So only time will tell. But yeah, that's where you can find me there. I'll leave a link in the description for that. Thank you so much to Caleb for our fantastic intro and outro music. Thanks to Lydia for the fantastic art. And then, has Riley gotten to us about any other projects he's been working on yet?
Well, just about what he's talked about, he talked with us about after we finished recording last time. But right. No, I don't think he's gotten back to us with any titles or dates or anything like that.
Well, the person who's on the last podcast, Riley Miller, might have something new coming out for you guys, something really special and cool.
I think he said late September,
yes.
So we'll hopefully get that. We'll hopefully get some announcements out on a podcast that comes out around then.
Yeah. We'll do a big, fun, official announcement for whatever he's got coming up next. It's got to be great because Great Trees of California was fantastic. If you don't know anything about that, link to the last episode right below. You will learn all about it. It's fantastic and intriguing. And, that's that.
There we go.
There we go. That's a wrap, everyone.
Okay.
Hasta la vista, BBs.